All right, this is Stoic and Emotional Leftist, part 45. I'm on the YouTube channel Transparency and Merit, also on the X, formerly known as YouTube, on Transparency and Merit. Also has a Twitter or an X page, and then I have X as well, Walk Against the Woke, and Mr. Midnight Movie, also Transparency and Merit, and again, the show is called Stoic, Calm, and Emotional Leftist, and I have not been good with my Stoic calm with some of the behaviors of these people, and I know that I should be, but I am struggling. This is kind of my struggle because I'm seeing such dishonesty, and I've never seen. And maybe it was always there, because I don't know if it was always there in my lifetime. Because I think, years before, before we had papers and news cameras, but I think people are, there's more because of the internet, there's more transparency, and people can talk back to like legacy media. But I've never seen a time where people are where egocentric, unaware people have such control of the microphone, and just the lack of awareness in human beings is surprising to me. And I'm wondering if that's the age that they come from, or if that is just something in nature.
I mean, all you have to do is look at any story that you want to do some kind of research into, and you start to see the egos that own and operate this shilly information that we get. It's ridiculous. If you really want to light up a room, by the way, go to a party and tell them dinosaurs never existed, and just see the response you get, and all of the disinformation, misinformation that they give you, because it's always in the news. And with that particular topic, they get the kids while they're young. All the kids are bombarded with everything dinosaur. So just as an example, not everybody's even going to agree with me on that, but it's definitely an interesting one to look at. And when you look at the stories that are just recently, articles that are written about on the topic, wow, it's just no wonder we're so filled with nonsense.
Well, you know what? I think that the powers that be have never liked to be questioned, and they take things on religious faith. And I remember the first thing on YouTube that was kind of controversial that you could look up was things on religion. There was why can't God heal amputees, and things about Mormonism. And then they started to attack certain leftist norms about civil rights and the race, the civil rights industrial complex, or the race industry. And when you attacked their ideology and their philosophy, that's when they started to call it hate speech, and they called it the dark web, and they just they called names, but they never like debated or showed evidence where these or much evidence where these people were wrong. On average, I mean, there were those that do, but on average they just called names, and they stigmatized people, and they didn't give them a place to like where they could mount their own defense. They just stigmatize them, and that's the way it goes. And it's really un-American, because due process and the internet is the court of public opinion. And in my opinion, it is primarily the left that is destroying it, and the left that wants control, and the left who thinks of themselves as the moral arbiters of good and evil. And it's anti-intellectual. And then they just call it, well, that's the intellectual dark web. What do you mean by that? What does that even mean? Joey, you want to respond to what I've said?
No, because I don't know what the intellectual dark web is. Is that like a library of hidden books and materials and things to learn that are just kind of kept to a small group of people?
Um, it was something that was coined. I think it was in 2015. Maybe it might have been coined even before Trump, because even before Trump, around 2015, they had the ad apocalypse because they were claiming things were hate speech, and then when Trump won 2017, the knives came out, and they control the business. They showed the civil rights industrial complex showed that they control the business apparatus. They control much of the establishment and the wheels that turn, and we're seeing that now as far as justice is concerned, and as far as narrative is concerned. There's no debate. They control it, and they want control, it seems like, without any question. And that's what bothers me. And that's what does anger me.
It sounds like another word for maybe a group that is responsible for the intellectual dark web.
Well, there are people that are responsible. There's a person responsible for coining that phrase, and then there are people responsible for making.
It sounds like the Tavistock whole thing. The whole thing sounds very Tavistockian.
Yeah, I mean, again, the civil rights movement probably worked with Tavistock, and the whole advertising industry kind of grew out of that. And the thing of it is, before the internet, when they controlled the television and they controlled the narrative, they could get away with whatever they wanted. Now, they cannot control the narrative, and that's why they want to control the internet, because they want to control the narrative. They want to tell you what is good and what is bad.
It's already controlled, though. It has been.
That's true. Well, that's true. I mean, but there was a time when YouTube and a lot of these social media companies were the Wild West, and you could say what you wanted to.
I would say it's never been a Wild West. That's just a perception, and that, like every other good thing, everything that seems good at first, a lot of things that are introduced to us. Like, I remember Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly was able to get people like me interested because he had he was off the chain there was a short period of time where he was really interesting, and he pulled the cord at some point, and he was absolutely worse than unwatchable. And then, of course, like all the other stuff that ensued, but for a short period, I do remember wondering, like, who is this guy? Why I find him interesting. And then do you remember what I'm talking about at all?
To a point, yeah, I do. And again, sometimes people pull the cord back, and for whatever reason, they become stale or whatever.
Joe Rogan, you go down the list. The fat guy from Texas, they all do the same thing. Also, like,
well, after a while, I mean, when you're on for hours at a time, I think after a while you are going to get stale. And I want to go further into this, into Tavistock, into how groups have infiltrated the advertising and the businesses in the HR departments and how to resist them. Because I think I have an idea that might work. It might not. You know, again, anytime you take on something that's as large as the establishment, uh, you don't know if the fruits are gonna, you know, if the resistance is gonna bear fruit. But I do believe that there are people that are sick and tired of the narrative. They're sick and tired of the behavior of this. I mean, they're tired of the establishment. I mean, they see BlackRock, and they see what they're funding, and they see their behavior. And again, I think there can be a successful mounting of resistance. And with that said, Joey, I'm going to end the show. And do you have anything to add before we end it?
No, but thank you to everybody that's come by and listen. Make sure you add us on there. What do? You hit the like
Yes.
and leave a comment.
Yeah. And also on our Twitter as well. I mean, because we do this on Twitter. So if you're able to catch our show, I know Johnny Cush has been liking our show on Twitter. So
Nice.
come out and like. And again, we're going to go into, we're doing projects right now where we're going to go into Tavistock and our, you know, and advertising, and how sometimes what you've seen on the screen is not necessarily what it is. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and thank you so much for listening.